welcome to Tattooing, and I'm Lisa Black, and this is The Tunnel. Today we are going to surprise one of my young clients. Her name is Maddie Vanstone, and she doesn't know she's getting tattooed today, so let's go surprise her. Oh. Hi, girlfriend, how are ya?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, guess what? We got a surprise for you.
What?
You are getting tattooed today.
Really?
Yeah. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. You thought just your sister was, right? Yeah, no, you are.
Yeah, I've had to keep that secret for like a week, so.
And it's going to be on TV.
Oh.
Yeah, to bring awareness for your
Okay.
cause and stuff. So we've had this planned for months, and it's been a big surprise for your birthday. And yeah,
Oh.
are you excited?
Yeah.
You ready for some paint?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're going to probably be here for a good portion of the afternoon, because your sister's going to get tattooed as well. Is your mom coming?
Yeah, she's downstairs.
She's downstairs? Okay, good. I didn't charge you for yours, okay, because it's my little gift to you,
Oh.
okay? And your sister still has to pay for hers, so.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's alright.
So, come on in. So we're here with Maddie now, and tell us a little bit about yourself, sweet.
So I'm Maddie Vanstone. I have cystic fibrosis. I live in Beaton, and I love horses. I live on a farm,
That's fun.
and yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about some of the struggles you've gone through with having this illness?
So I was diagnosed when I was 8 months old. So I've had it basically my whole life. There hasn't been really a time where it wasn't hard. Fitting in with friends was difficult, and other kids when I was younger especially, because I was so sick. So cystic fibrosis is a disease that mainly affects my lungs. So I've been admitted in the hospital probably a lot of my life, just staying and getting treatment to help me breathe better.
Okay, so now what are some of the symptoms that happen when you have cystic fibrosis?
So what happens when you have cystic fibrosis is there is a mucus buildup, basically all through my body, my digestive system as well. So it makes it harder for me to digest food. I have to take medication for that, and just breathing in general is very difficult if I don't do my treatments and take my medication.
Okay, so you, I know that your family has had some struggles with your medication. So can you let us know what awareness you've brought through social media to this disease?
So I have to be very open about it, just because I know lots of friends that are having a difficult time, and I know that there needs to be a cure found. And I'm currently on a medication called Kalydeco, it's doing an amazing job. It's almost a cure, but not quite. We're getting there though. So it's made lots of progress over the years, but I just try to make awareness and just help other people by speaking out.
So have you had difficulty with funding for this type of medication?
Yeah, when I was, how old was I? I think I was 12, and that's kind of when Kalydeco was brought to the table. But it was $348,000 a year for the medication, and it wasn't covered. So my family was paying for that out of pocket, and that obviously was difficult. That's a lot of money. So I went to the government and I fought to get it covered. So I got it covered. I think it was a while later. A lot of my friends had already passed away by the time. It only covers about 3% of the population, but a lot of friends that I had already passed away. But I'm glad that I got to help other people when I got it covered.
And how many more people you're going to now potentially help
Definitely.
is amazing. So for such a young person to have done this is really, really commendable. So that's why we did this for you today, that we wanted to set it up. Your mom had mentioned she was very excited, and you were very excited to get your first tattoo. So we set this up for you today. We wanted to surprise you for your birthday, but we're doing it now.
Yeah.
So what made you want to get a tattoo, though, to commemorate this?
So I've always had the idea to get the tattoo Just Breathe. It's just very meaningful to all people with cystic fibrosis. It's just a saying that all of us go by because we have difficult breathing. We just have to learn to just take a breath and accept that it is what it is, and we're lucky to be here. And I've had a lot of friends who have passed away that also had cystic fibrosis that lived by that meaning, and it would just mean a lot to kind of get that on my body, just to kind of represent all those people.
That's really good. That's awesome. So now, how many of your family members have gotten this Just Breathe tattoo?
I think most of my family now, I think there's maybe 3 people left that are going to get it.
Okay.
But they all just kind of made a pact that they're all going to get it to represent cystic fibrosis.
And today, I think we're actually gonna tattoo your sister as well.
Yeah.
So she's getting it for the cause as well. That's really good family support.
Definitely.
Okay, so I had one other question, and this one might create a feeling, and I'm sorry if that does, but I'm curious to know, what is the average life expectancy of somebody that has cystic fibrosis?
Usually it's 30. It's getting better as time goes on just because there's more medications. But my friend last year, she was 21 and she passed away. And I've known her since I was really little. She used to hang out with me in the hospital when we were allowed to.
Yeah.
So that was a hard hitter for me.
So is that where you met most of your friends that had this illness, was in the hospital?
In the hospital or online.
Yeah. So did you have like special tutors that would come to the hospital for you to teach you schooling?
No, I just had to miss school. I'm now doing online schooling, which is really helpful because I can bring it to the hospital and I can stay caught up. But because I missed so much school, it's kind of brought me back a lot. So.
Did you ever miss any grades, or were you held back at all?
I just had to work really hard to kind of keep up with my friends. So I'm currently in the right spot. I'm in grade 10. So.
Okay, so you've never gone to like a traditional style of schooling?
I used to. I started online schooling last year.
Okay, so this is your first tattoo, right?
Mhm.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
Okay, what do you think, sweetie?
That's perfect.
Okay, you ready to go?
Yep.
Yep, here we go. I'm just going to angle you a little bit more that way, okay, sweetie? How you doing?
It's good.
You're all great? Okay, so you're all done. What do you think?
It's awesome. It didn't hurt at all
No?
compared to a lot of things that I've gotten. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
So did other people build it up and make you think that it was going to be worse than it was?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like really intense, but it's just kind of a light sting and it's done.
And what did you think that it was going to feel like compared to something else? I usually tell people it's like a cat scratching a sunburn.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit like that.
That's like
Now,
it.
have anybody else made any other suggestions of what they think it felt like?
I've heard it like a scratch.
Yeah.
And
Your
I've
friend-
heard like needles, and needles like is like a scary word just because it's needles, but it wasn't bad at all.
So what I usually tell people is I'm also deathly afraid of needles. I don't like getting my blood taken. I pass out every single time, and they laugh at me because I'm covered in tattoos, but I'm terrified of needles because they go into the vein, and tattoo needles just hover on the surface.
Yeah.
So they only go in about 4 millimeters into the skin, if that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it just sits in the dermal layer, and it's not going through your skin and into a vein. That's the part that kind of freaks
Yeah.
me out, right?
Yeah.
You
it's
too?
nothing, yeah.
Now I'm here with Carly Vanstone, Maddie's sister, and she's going to tell us a little bit about why she's getting her Just Breathe tattoo.
Well, I think I'm one of the last ones of my family members to get it done, but I'm doing it today to stand in solidarity with Maddie and her fight and everyone's fight to support cystic fibrosis.
Okay. How has it affected you being an older sister to a younger person and watching her go through this?
It's really hard, especially because I don't live locally. So, I mean, I've tried my best to be there for, you know, the big events and the big fundraisers, and I've held a couple of my own things for Maddie, but it's hard to not be there for the everyday struggles, you know, when she's feeling sad or when she's feeling a little down for the day, to not be able to be there to give her a hug, you know, tell her just to keep fighting.
Did you find that she would play different than other kids, and maybe?
Most definitely. Maddie would just not feel well, she'd go inside, and most kids would be outside playing and having a good time, and she'd want to go inside and lay on the couch and put on a blanket and watch Finding Nemo. That was my favorite movie. I think I've watched it 100 times. But that was her, she'd just disappear. But she was always good. She never complained. She would just go off, disappear silently, and she'd have a headache or just wasn't feeling well that day. And she'd be, laying low.
Okay, you ready?
And now for your personal life, and you've mentioned that you were going to be engaged, or you are engaged now. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, is this something that is genetically passed through children? Like, would you possibly have a child with cystic fibrosis?
It is a possibility if you're a carrier of the gene. So when it's time for me to have children, if we decide to do that, my husband-to-be would also need to get tested for the gene. And if both of us carried the gene, I believe it's a 1 in 3 chance that we could have a child with cystic fibrosis.
So with those odds, would you still proceed with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Because I just think Maddie's brought so much joy to our family. And I know that it's a huge struggle, and she has a hard time, but at the end of the day, she's this beautiful kid that we just love so much. And to think of her not being here, not a chance.
So do you have any tips for other people or other families that are struggling with this disease?
I would definitely recommend that you reach out. There are so many online communities, there are so many social media communities, people that are just looking to reach out to other people for support, for anything you need, for advice. Also, another important thing, anyone that's dealing with a chronic illness, I know a lot of, especially with Maddie's friends, they can't be together because of cross-contamination and spreading germs and getting each other more sick than they already are. So the online community is so, so important for that. It's a way for you to not feel alone, but to reach out to people that are sharing your struggle.
That's really awesome. So now Maddie's only able to contact her friends that have this illness through social media because they can make each other more sick being together. That absolutely makes it the most important thing for them to have an outside source, somebody else to talk to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
Okay, sweetie, we're done.
Awesome. Looks beautiful.
So compared to what other people have told you it was going to feel like, was it better or worse? Or?
It was much better.
Now I'm here with Beth Vanstone. She's Maddie's mom, and she's here to tell us a little bit about how the community has supported her and the effects it's had on her life. Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about some of the struggles you've gone through and the support you've got from the community.
Well, this community has been a lifesaver, literally, for my daughter Maddie. The drug that she's on, Kalydeco, is $348,000 per year, which is basically $500 a pill that she takes twice a day. When the drug first was introduced, it was covered as she was in a trial. When the trial was over, we had no access to the drug due to the cost. Insurance didn't cover it, and the government didn't cover it. The community decided to come together for us, and they held fundraiser after fundraiser. And we ended up having a portion to pay of $6,000 per month, as we had worked out a deal with the manufacturer, and insurance was paying a bit of it for us. So it left $6,000 a month, which was more than we could afford, of course. And thanks to the community, that was paid for, and Maddie was on it for a year and a half while we battled for funding.
That's absolutely amazing. So now this has just been friends and family that have just come together out of the goodness of their heart just to help out your family.
There was friends and family, but it was community. It was people that we didn't know, people we'd never met. Like, it was quite overwhelming to see people that you didn't know calling you and dropping off. I had little old men coming and dropping off a check for $20 to help, and kids walking dogs that raised $200 in a summer that came and gave $200 to help Maddie have her medication. It was astounding.
That's absolutely amazing that this little small community will get together and really help somebody out. So now, as a mom, how has this affected you personally?
It's a huge struggle, and I would say that it's probably brought out the best of me. I'm a fighter, Maddie's a fighter, and when you have a struggle like this, you just bring your best to the table and you do what you have to do for your child, and that's what we've done. And I've grown a lot, and I'm more than I thought I could be, thanks to her and this fight and the community. The support that I've had from the community has just, it builds you up. It makes you feel great. So it's been tough, but it's rewarding, and we're getting there. So
Has there ever been points where you've been like concerned that, she was at reaching a point where maybe she wasn't going to make it?
many times. And her initial diagnosis at 8 months, if you can imagine, was devastating. Thinking that at that time the life expectancy was 24. My husband and I didn't know if I could deal, but I pulled on my big girl pants, and it's like fight. That's what we do. So since then, she's had up and downs. She's generally in the hospital 4 or 5 weeks every single year since 8 months. So that's a considerable amount of time of her life spent in Sick Kids Hospital. There have been times when her lung function has been declining, and we didn't know what to do, and the doctors didn't know how to fix it. And when your daughter's 3 and her lung function's at 50% of what it should be and declining, it's pretty freaking scary. But
A lot of sleepless nights, I can imagine.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But you can't live there. You can't stay there. You have to stay strong and feel like you're part of the solution, which is what Maddie and I always try and do.
That's absolutely amazing. So now, with your family and the exposure that you guys have you helped other families as well get some fundraising going for their families? Because I'm sure this illness affects multiple children.
Absolutely. Well, we generally do our fundraising efforts for CF Canada. CF Canada is one of the biggest organizations in Canada that raises funds for research, which is where Kaleido has ultimately come from. So by raising awareness for cystic fibrosis and CF Canada, we're helping to bring funding to the table for all CF patients.
Okay, now I'm curious as to why, if this medication is so expensive, why hasn't the manufacturer said, this is something that people really need, we're going to lower the price of it? Have they ever discussed that with you?
Well, that's been a hot topic for sure, for Kaleido as well as a lot of other medications. Specifically for Kaleido, because cystic fibrosis is considered a rare disease. There's only 3,500 people in Canada that have this disease. Out of the 3,500, only 3% can take this particular drug and have the effectiveness that it has with Maddie, which brings you down to about 118 people across Canada. It's a gene-correcting drug. So if you can imagine that the defective gene that Maddie has is actually corrected by taking this drug, the science that's gone into this and the years of research, and I quite understand what the cost of it. And I've defended it only because I think that if they're going to let cost hold us back from finding cures, they're not going to fund them, they're not going to research them, and these kids will be lost for CF and other diseases. So, I think that at a point it will be less expensive, but right now we're breaking down barriers, and so I think that's where it is right now.
Awesome. And so you've gotten a tattoo in support of this as well. Did you want to show it?
I do.
Yeah. And how long ago did we do that for you?
We did this, I think, a year ago.
Here we go now.
Yeah, it was a surprise from my husband,
Yep.
who got a gift certificate for Christmas, and I thought, what the heck? Because I haven't had any tattoos, and I was like so shocked, but thrilled. And my middle daughter, myself, and my husband all came together to you, and we got these tattoos. And of course, it's meaningful for Maddie and all the rest of the CF community that we care about.
It was just absolutely why we wanted to do this for you guys, bring a little bit more awareness.
You're awesome. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're back with my apprentice. This is Britt Rads. This is what her handle's gonna be now. Yeah. And today we are tattooing a melon. This is one of the beginning stages in becoming a tattoo artist, and it's one of the steps that I make my apprentices go through. They tattoo all kinds of fruits. And Britt's going to tell us a little bit about why she wanted to get interested in, or why she was interested in learning how to tattoo. And she's also going to share our first meeting story.
Our first love meeting. Yes. So for tattooing, I always wanted to tattoo. It was always a passion of mine ever since I was like 10 years old. I always drew on myself and I was constantly, like, it drove my mom nuts. Washable markers, please. But I've just always had an interest. It's such an amazing form of expression and art, and it's just a beautiful way to show emotion, whether it's passion, good, bad, something that you see that you just fall in love with and you just want it on your body. Your body's a canvas and you do what you want with it, and I feel like tattooing is beautiful. I love it. I always have.
So we get to wear our art.
Yes, we do, and we get to put it on a melon. But
Okay.
When we first started, I was getting my very first tattoo that I ever got touched up because it was old and dingy, and that happens from time to time. It was like 10 years old, and I came to Lisa, not even knowing who she was, and right off the hop, it was like we were besties. We just started talking, and it was on my ribs too, so trying not to laugh and be goofy with her, but we just totally hit it off right away, and she asked me to be her apprentice, and it was just an amazing opportunity. And
I gave you a little bit of time to think about it
Yeah.
and weigh out the options
yeah,
a
because
little
I
bit.
do have another job as well, but I mean, it was an obvious, and I have a lot of support from my friends and my family and my boyfriend.
And your boyfriend Patty,
Yes, my boyfriend
Patty
Pat.
smacks.
Yes, I love him so much, but he definitely was the driving force that was like, you have to do this. This is an amazing opportunity. You love this stuff, and to be able to get into an industry and community that is tattooing and doing something that you truly love is amazing. Not everybody gets to do that.
No.
And you get to do it every day.
And you're gonna get to do it every day.
Yeah,
you
and
get
I'm
to do it every day.
excited, and it starts with melons. Melons
Something
and
there's an
tattoos.
abundance of in our shop.
I know, there's always melons, always, everywhere. But this is my
Okay.
melon for today.
So, do you want to show? We're going to show everybody how to put a stencil onto a melon.
Yes.
And how do we start this, Britt?
So we always start with cleaning it first, which I already pre-did, but we always use Dettol.
Dettol.
It smells funky, but it's,
It's like pine sol. I love the
know,
smell
it
of
does.
Dettol.
yeah, me
Yeah.
too. It smells like clean,
Mhm.
even though it sounds weird. And then,
Dead all. It's
Dead
kind of in a
all.
tattoo industry. Dead all.
And then we always have our stencil transfer goo, that's what I call it, where we do like a nice little layer of goo on top, and then we pop our stencil on.
Okay,
And we're
so
gonna
let's do it.
for you.
Okay, so we've got the stencil on the melon now. So Britt is going to use a traditional style rotary machine. There's a few different types of rotary machines. I use a little bit of different one, and Britt has recently upgraded to that one as well. But for this type of purpose, we're going to show you how to tattoo. Well, not how to, but we're going to show you a little bit of what she does.
This is the machine that I first started with. It was my baby right off the hop, and I do still love it. I have upgraded, like Lisa said, but this machine, you know, it works. It does the trick. So, like she said, we got our stencil on. We're just gonna prime this little spot here with Vaseline. Hopefully it doesn't rub off. We didn't give it much time to sit, but that's okay. And
So now, what's it like tattooing a melon compared to real skin? Because Britt's already starting to work on real skin now. She does apprentice tattoos, and she's limited to a small space for now while she's learning her craft. And so we start them off on melons because it's not a person, it's not going to move around, but it gives a good shape of the body, and it's obviously a very different consistency and texture, but it gives us something that they can practice on as like one of the beginning stages. So
it doesn't whine.
yeah,
It just takes the ink. It's perfect. Like she said, obviously the consistency isn't that of skin, which is fine, but it still has the same effect, really. Like the way it goes in is a little bit different. Obviously, it's not as smooth, but as far as practicing and just starting out, it's perfect. I chose a honeydew.
So we've gone ahead and done the setup, and so we've gotten the inks ready and the needles prepared. Typically, we would open the needles right in front of the client. We make sure
Always.
that they see the expiry dates and make sure that they're very aware that here at the tunnel, we're really clean and we like to maintain that. So Britt's gonna start now.
Ta-da. Okay, so I'm gonna start, you always wanna start at the bottom and kind of work your way up so that you don't rub off your stencil. Number 1 of my lesson, I remember. So I'm gonna start. Just a really clean line. Ta-da!
Nice.
See, again, it's a little bit thicker than it would be in skin, obviously, because when you tattoo into a melon, it kind of spreads out a little bit, and not to sound grotesque, but it takes it in chunks almost, whereas skin is a little bit smoother, almost like silk. So we'll just do another little line here.
So now how do you find that going from using like a pencil or a paintbrush to using a vibrating machine?
It is very, very different. There is always that factor of control. So taking your time, going slow. I'm obviously doing it quick because it's on a melon. If it was an actual person, I would do each line very simply, very slowly, make sure that it's crisp, it's clean, and that it's going in the very first time so that you don't have to go over and over and over a million times. Practice makes perfect, right? So anytime, you know, you can get somebody in to practice on. I also practice on pigskin as well, which is awesome. That
It's a
always
little
works.
smelly when we bring it in.
It is, like bacon though. We like bacon.
Sorry to any vegetarians that may
Yeah,
be watching.
Sorry, veggies, but I can't help it. It's easy, it's skin. Okay, and we're done. One last wipe. The melon is complete.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Good practicing.
Of course, thank you.
So thank you for coming in today and being part of this.
Of course.
And thanks for rocking out your melon. And I also want to say a very big thank you to the Vanstones for coming in today and sharing their story with us. And we'll see you next time on Tattooing PC Black.
Bye, guys.